Rewriting your inner programming. March 20, 2015. When someone asks, "What do you want from life?" or "What do you want to be or become?" you may provide many wonderful ideas, perhaps jobs or directions that you want to try out, but if you dig deeper into yourself, you will realize what you want most out of life is to be happy. Of course you want to have a great job, a decent roof over your head, friends, family, etc. But if you're not happy, none of that matters. Being happy and content is the central core of your answer and truth. Happiness is what every dear son and daughter of God is wanting. Remember when you were a child, someone would ask you, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" You had so many creative ideas, but underneath each idea was happiness. You wanted to do something that brought joy and happiness. As an adult, have any of you ever rethought on that question? When you think of your childhood answers and the answers you come up with now, are you able to recognize any conditioned, limiting beliefs that you have clung to over the years? Your subconscious is working behind the scenes with such questions, programming you by telling you the choices you make, and by selecting the best or right one will be the one to happiness. Pretty quickly you begin believing in the identity you have created and what your future happiness will entail that is based on what you wanted to be when you were all grown up. You may look at the choices other dear souls have made in order to determine which direction you wish to follow. You create reference points that are part of the very foundation of your perception towards life and where it may take you. When you are young and trying to figure out what you want to be when you are grown up, your ideas didn't usually include the difficult side of it, the part that has to worry where you will reside, how you will pay living there, making sure you have enough food and money to pay the bills you have. Many young people are hit hard when they enter the real world, trying to make a path for themselves. They soon realize it's more than their notion of sitting at a desk, making phone calls, and it's not just about making plans and meetings. They quickly discover balancing and harmonizing life with all that it entails is difficult. It is only natural for a child to perceive the world around them as being all it is, and to program themselves to think limitedly. Even if, as a child you didn't really like what your reality was, it was what began the beginning formation of your perceptions and what you could expect from life. It was very limited, simply because you only experienced certain sides. So by not having all the information to form a complete and accurate image of what life could be, to answer the question "What do you want to be when you are grown up?" will be filled with fantasy and limited, narrow possibilities. When your immediate environment is limited, then what you see as reality is also narrowed and your subconscious has you believing that everything beyond what you think reality is plain fantasy, something unable to be reached or attained. Regardless what your hopes and dreams were when you were a child, reality sets in, and whatever fantasy world you may have conjured up has no place in the real world. As you mature, you may struggle with letting go of your perceived fantasy and adopt a life in the real world. Many people find themselves revisited by early programmed beliefs as they make their way in the real world. The childish, immature subconscious messages you once got as a child, describing a narrow reality about happiness, is now telling you to stop dreaming. Then this inner programming of your subconscious begins instructing you that you must accept your rightful place in the established order of life, and you begin believing in this as well, thinking this updated belief is directing you towards true happiness. Many dear souls have a difficult time manifesting their dreams and goals because of the limiting beliefs they have carried since childhood. In actuality they are working from behind the scenes and silently directing their lives based on those narrow and limiting ideals instead of being the captain. It is only natural, dear ones, to want a life that brings meaning and joy, but when you are programmed to believe that such a life and way of living is not very realistic, you begin to feel guilty for wanting such a life. You deserve to feel satisfaction and contentment in life. True happiness doesn't come with the price tag. Remember, it comes from within. And when you are happy with yourself and you accept yourself as you are, then your path and direction becomes brighter and wider. Maturity tells you reality is not fantasy, and you need to focus on what is real. But if you are intuitive, you will know there is more than just the beliefs you have programmed yourself to follow. And this intuitive knowledge begins an internal conflict to dismantle that early programming of your limited beliefs. In order to bring peace to your inner self and to find real happiness is learning to harmonize your inner programming with your intuitive self. Fighting against your true nature, dear ones, will never bring you happiness. So what is left is you needing to reevaluate your inner programming and to rewrite them. You need to let go of your limiting beliefs that were contained in those outdated programs and replace them with encouraging and empowering beliefs that supports and maintains your natural intuitive and creativeness. There does come a time when you must take responsibility for yourself and for your life and radically upgrade your inner programming. So instead of asking what do you want to be, ask yourself, who do you want to be? When your identity is attached to what you are doing, it sends a little message to your subconscious that you are your job, you are the role carved in life, or you are this or that. When in fact you are not any of those things. Those labels are just part of the many things you may do throughout the day, but not you. You are so much more. Who you are, dear ones, as an individual person is more about understanding and defining what your values are, what motivates and impassionates you, what relationships you have and other personal qualities and quirks you have. It is these things that are more important than any label you can give to yourself that may describe your title or job. Until you connect your identity with your true self, you will never be able to cultivate internal harmony or experience true happiness. The path to attaining personal empowerment and inner peace needs to start by you discovering your true and authentic self. In addition, you must recognize what your old and outdated programming is, and upgrade it as you become clearer about who you are, instead of what you are, and you do this by focusing inward. Once you make your upgrades to the limited beliefs you had, you unfold yourself into such a beautiful and amazing son or daughter of God, a person with unlimited potential that can follow their heart regardless which direction it is moving towards. It does not matter how prestigious your job title is, or what your duties entail, or if you are a single, stay-at-home parent. What matters is what you think and believe. Instead of believing what you do defines you, accept what you are as who you are. Use I am affirmations when you need reminders that help to empower you and inspire you when you begin to doubt yourself. When you come to the understanding of who you truly are at the core level, then you can begin knowing what you want to be. So many dear souls, even today, pursue great bounties of money, power, great position, etc., in order to attain happiness, and everything else in between simply fills their empty void. It is understood that such approaches never work in the long run. Pursuing money, power, and positions will lead you to greater stress, frustrations, and further away from your real self. What ends up happening, dear ones, is you'll only manage to define what you are, without ever knowing who you truly are from the core level. You may find yourself becoming something like machines, programmed by limited beliefs, ways, and instruction. It is important for each of you to comprehend that learning about your true self is not as difficult or as time-consuming as you may have thought. Taking the time to locate your core values, ambitions, passions, and supportive principles in order to achieve internal harmony is quite easy once you make up your mind. It doesn't matter how long you have lived with your current programs that have been limiting. When you commit to uncovering your true self, in a short amount of time, you will begin upgrading your inner program and begin feeling more harmonized, more empowered, and happier. Even though your fantasy beliefs and programming provided you with a limited understanding and limited beliefs regarding the real world, they did serve a purpose. What they are, dear ones, is the voice of your true self calling to you to listen, to recognize you have an inner self and to become more intuitive, and to become more in touch with your inner, true self. True happiness is always possible. Are you ready to listen to the call from your inner, true self? If you haven't already begun unraveling the old conditioned ways of doing things, what is stopping you from beginning now? Now is a perfect time to stop denying your inner self and step up and be who you are. Don't feel guilty for wanting more from life. Stop searching externally for happiness and discover happiness begins with you. And so it is. I am Ascended Master, Serapis Bey through Julie Miller. spiritualnetworks.com